Okay, partial success. The modifications I did worked with what I was trying to add, but a strange thing happened in that, let me get this warming up. Tip, I have heard it's bad to turn on a tube amplifier without the output transformer connection made. I honestly am not sure if that's true. And now you will hopefully begin to hear the noise I heard, which is not at all supposed to be what's there. So the additions worked, but then this nice, lovely hum developed. No bueno. So, it was a little bit of serendipity that I figured out. Gonna attach a jumper here onto the speaker. Hard to do that, and hold the phone at the same time. There we go, a little alligator clip. Alright. So I've just attached an alligator clip to the negative lead on the speaker, and if I touch that to the chassis ground, where's the point right here? Weird, right? So you can see here, if it focuses, which it never does. I'm trying to get it to focus here. Come on. So annoying. Well, this is to the internal speaker. I'll put autofocus back on because it's not working any better. To internal speaker, it says right here. And then on this lower line is the negative side. You know what? Don't need to talk over that. Okay. Get a finer probulator tool here. Okay. So this is to internal speaker, even though you can't really read it. And this lower line has a negative, the upper line has a plus. If you follow the negative lead down, here's our chassis ground point, and you saw when I connected it to ground, that hum went away. So this internal speaker connection is ungrounded. And I have no idea how that happened because all of our modifications were over here. I removed this ground connection, and there was a funky little grounding jumper that went from the ground pad on the PCB and wrapped around the, I don't call it a chassis on a trim pot, but the shell. And I removed that, of course. I don't know if that has something to do with it. It's a bit of a head scratcher, but all I need to do is ensure that this negative lead on the internal speaker is grounded, and then I'll just double check that this is the external speaker connection. Also make sure that it is connected to ground as well, and then everything will work fine. Future modifications, I want to build an external cabinet. This is a 8-ohm internal speaker and an 8-ohm external speaker connection, which will put in parallel. You have a 4-ohm tap on your output transformer. So that's how that works. So I want to build a cabinet with that speaker. For right now, I can't play it because of that annoying noise, so I'm just fashioning a temporary jumper. Well, temporary for now, so it'll just go onto one of those chassis screws, and then there's, if you can see, 2 spade leads on the speaker. So we'll just ground out the negative side that way, and that'll make the hum go away and the amp will be usable. And next time I open it up, I'll follow this trace and figure out how that got broken. And if I can figure that out, I will let you know. In the meantime, everything else looks and sounds amazing, except, sorry, let's find our page where our additions were. This input resistor I installed was 68K, just because that was the input resistance I used in my Fender Twin Reverb all the time. It was an 85 watt amp by the time I was done monkeying with it. This is only a 25 watt amp. So with the 68K resistor, it's actually a bit on the quiet side, which is wonderful if you want to crank the gain in the the preamp and the power amp section. You get some really amazing tones, which I'll shoot in a video here in a little bit. But it's actually kind of quiet. If you want to keep these in the linear region where you're not getting a lot of overdrive, then the amp is actually a little bit on the quiet side. The dual inputs on the 60s era's Fenders often had the 68K input, usually labeled number 2, and that's the one I used. Again, high power, high volume amps, but input 1 had 2 of those resistors in parallel, dropping the input resistance impedance to 34K instead of 68, and it made those amps unbelievably loud, which I didn't like because they were already way too loud anyway. Kind of get the neighbors calling you. So I'm going to do that on this little 25 watt amp, and then we'll just put a selector switch in. So you can pick which impedance you want. If you want a clean sound with a lot of clean headroom, you can flip the switch to the low impedance setting. If you want to really dirty it up and get some overdrive going, flip the switch the other way and it'll just run through this. So I have to drill a hole in the back of the chassis here, install a switch, and then install some jumpers and a new 68K resistor in parallel with the one I already installed. So we're going to take it back apart. I think this is like the 5th time. And then get that stuff installed. And then once it's all back together, fix the ground on the speaker connection. Then you'll actually get to hear this amp be used as an amp and not just a bench project. Okay, I think that's all for now. So good luck out there, have fun. Hopefully we have some good news for you soon. Thanks for watching.